Welcome to Literary Insights. This is the summary of the book Loserthink, How Untrained Brains Are Ruining America. Scott Adams. If you like this content, please consider subscribing and liking this video. The author is frequently criticized based on others wrongly assuming what he must be thinking. Even close ones can't guess his thoughts accurately. We're often punished for what others wrongly think we're thinking. Avoid opinions that depend on knowing strangers' inner thoughts. Examples: accusing someone of secretly wanting total socialism or being racist. We can't know strangers' thoughts, only what they say/do. Ron DeSantis was accused of racism for using articulate and monkey this up. But we can't know if that was meant to signal racism without mind reading. It's unlikely DeSantis would act obviously racist. Politicians often have knowledge gaps and may use inappropriate language unaware. Accusing someone of subconscious bias from word choice is problematic. Summary: be very skeptical of claims that depend on knowing strangers' inner thoughts or assume we have a sixth sense into others' minds. We should avoid harsh accusations without concrete evidence. Focus on observable words and actions, not assume secret thoughts or motives. The key ideas are: 1. We are poor at deducing others' inner thoughts and motivations, though we think we're good at it. 2. This leads to miscommunication, conflict, and accusations that depend on claiming to know strangers' secret thoughts. 3. Examples show how politicians are frequently accused of racism or other motives based only on word choice, not concrete evidence. But we can't actually know their inner thoughts. 4. We should avoid claims that depend on assuming we have a sixth sense into others' minds. Focus on observable evidence, not speculation about secret thoughts or motives. 5. Harsh accusations should not be made without concrete evidence. Our inability to read minds means we often wrongly assume negative motivations behind ambiguous or inappropriate words. The author argues we need to become aware of our limitations in understanding others' inner experiences and be highly skeptical of claims that depend on speculative assumptions about people's secret thoughts or motives. We should avoid harsh accusations without concrete evidence. Humans often make false assumptions and wrongly attribute extraordinary explanations to ordinary events because we lack imagination and sufficient information about the complex realities involved. It is difficult to accurately judge another person's intelligence or motivations based only on their words and actions. We lack critical information and context that leads us to make poor assumptions. Examples of failures of imagination masquerading as rational thinking include: assuming all racists support a particular political party solely due to secret messaging, rather than a mix of complex reasons. Believing coincidences and cryptic signs prove extraordinary claims like conspiracy theories, rather than considering ordinary explanations. Judging someone's intelligence or character without grasping the full complexity of their situation and pressures. Life is unpredictable, messy, and often incomprehensible. While our reasoning can be sound, it is strongly influenced by our ability to imagine other possibilities beyond our initial assumptions. Maturing and gaining life experience helps cultivate imagination and makes us less prone to false assumptions, excessive skepticism, and belief in extraordinary explanations when ordinary ones will do. But we all remain limited in understanding the world with complete accuracy. The author's dog may see his failure to take her out as a sign of stupidity, but lacks information about his reasoning and constraints. Similarly, we often lack information that would change our judgments about others if we possessed it. In life, we operate based on limited information, biases, and guesses. No wonder much of human thinking and behavior appears delusional or irrational. But we frequently lack imagination about the realities actually governing it. The key message is that we should remain open-minded and humble in our judgments of others and the world, as there are complex realities we do not and cannot fully grasp with our limited knowledge and imagination. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Coincidences often seem meaningful but are usually just the result of randomness and confirmation bias. We notice and assign meaning to coincidences that reinforce what we already believe while ignoring those that do not. The author describes several personal coincidences that are completely meaningless, like buying Sharpies the day someone praised them on TV or having a plumber fix the shower the day a TV show depicted that. The odds of any unlikely combination of events are not that low given how many events are happening. The coincidences of the shower being fixed and then the power going out, damaging the water heater, are particularly striking but still meaningless. The odds of those exact events together are tiny, but the odds of any unlikely series of events is not so low. We should not assume coincidences prove or mean anything. Our tendency to see connections that are not there, confirmation bias, leads us to make more of coincidences than we should. Thinking critically requires considering other explanations and recognizing that unlikely events sometimes just happen together for no reason. Seeing the world scientifically means being skeptical of claims not backed by evidence and testing alternative hypotheses. This applies to the meaning we assign to coincidences. They usually prove nothing. In summary, coincidences are often just randomness, but we tend to assign meaning to those we notice, especially if they match our pre-existing beliefs. We must consider more plausible alternative explanations to avoid being misled by meaningless coincidences and confirmation bias. Scientific thinking helps remedy these human failings. Does this summary accurately reflect the key arguments and conclusions presented regarding coincidences and confirmation bias? Let me know if you have any feedback or suggestions for improving the summary. I am happy to revise it. The key points are: 1. Be highly skeptical of coincidences and do not assume they are meaningful without evidence. Our brains are prone to perceiving patterns that aren't really there. 2. Anecdotal evidence and personal experiences are not persuasive. Drawing broad conclusions from a few examples often reflects flawed thinking. The media frequently presents stories in misleading ways that encourage this. 3. Consider alternative explanations and perspectives. Asking what if the opposite is true can help address biases and prevent premature conclusions. 4. Do not judge or characterize entire groups based on the actions of a few extreme members. Most groups are diverse, and it is factually incorrect and unfair to generalize this way. The media often frames stories to make groups seem more extreme or unified than they really are. 5. The burden of proof should be on the person making a claim, not on others to disprove it. Requiring someone to prove a negative is usually irrational. The absence of evidence against an idea is not evidence that it is true. 6. Break big tasks or problems into small, concrete steps. Doing what you can right now, even if small, helps build momentum and progress. This approach avoids the loserthink of feeling overwhelmed and paralyzed by the scale of the full task. Success builds on incremental improvements and persistence. 7. Confidence needs to be balanced with humility and willingness to accept you may be wrong or lack full understanding. Certainty is not a good indicator of accuracy or truth. Our brains often make us overconfident in our views and sureness. 8. Look at issues rationally by weighing costs and benefits objectively. Compare options and consider alternatives. Use data and evidence, not just opinions or anecdotes. Evaluate arguments based on their persuasiveness to those with opposing views. Look for logical flaws and fallacies. These skills lead to better thinking and decision-making. Opinions should be supported by facts and reason, not just rhetoric. Have opinions that ignore key factors or only consider one side lack rationality. For productive debate, consider full context and implications. Evaluate both short and long-term effects. Future costs and benefits are hard to predict but can't be ignored. Consider time value of money. $1 today is worth more. Most businesses focus on 2 to 3 year returns. Think in decades for public policy. Big long-term risks may justify spending now, but opportunity costs must be weighed. Not all risks can be addressed and the future is unknowable. Judging decisions requires acknowledging imperfect knowledge and trade-offs. Focus on the decision process more than outcomes. Arguments for fairness or against normalizing behavior often substitute rhetoric for reason. There's no objective standard of fairness or normal. Saying a plan is problematic without specifics is unpersuasive. Accusing others of moral equivalence usually assumes you know their intent. Do your own research, but consider expertise. Individuals poorly judge complex issues and evidence. Good leaders operate without perfection and address the least complaining. Persuasion, not just facts, achieves stability. Analogies explain new ideas but don't predict. Patterns don't imply causation. Dismissive labeling is counterproductive. Noting two things isn't comparing them. Mentioning unrelated things you like isn't rating them. Loserthink avoids real debate. Progress is evident, poverty and war declined, tech improved lives. Media warnings obscure gains. Round to wallow in loserthink means dwelling in negative thought. Maintain balanced views. Experts debate but major war unlikely, costs too high, nukes deter, economy punishes. Terror and small wars continue but conditions improve. Climate change is serious but impact exaggerated. Technology gains and globalization foster hope. The summary outlines the chapter's argument that loserthink unproductive reasoning habits is common but can be reduced by considering context and evidence, focusing on process over outcomes, and maintaining a balanced perspective on real risks as well as progress being made. Fusion power and next-generation nuclear energy could provide clean, cheap, abundant energy and help solve many problems. Advancements in technologies like air conditioning, carbon capture, and renewable energy can help address climate change. Improved and lower-cost living options, healthcare, transportation, and education could offset job losses from automation and AI, allowing people to live well on lower incomes. Although some surveys suggest worsening race relations, overall relations have improved. Media focuses on negative news for attention, giving a skewed perception. Racism continues to decline, interracial relationships increase, and minorities achieve greater success. Escaping mental prisons of limiting beliefs requires recognizing and rejecting them. With determination, people can overcome obstacles and achieve greatly. An open and optimistic mindset is key. Loserthink refers to thought patterns that hold people back, like cultural pressures, lacking self-care, worrying excessively about others' opinions, hesitating due to imperfect knowledge, and lacking context. Thinking productively means avoiding these traps. News often lacks context, leading to poor judgment. Wait before forming opinions. Check multiple, differing news sources to get the full, accurate story. Signs of potentially fake news include fearmongering, mind-reading, doom predictions from partisans, taking comments out of context, absurd claims, and too much uncertainty to determine the truth. Consider news objectively and skeptically. Don't assume experts are always right or news stories are completely accurate. The truth is often complex, uncertain, and found by weighing multiple viewpoints. An open and thoughtful approach leads to the best understanding. In summary, optimistic determination, critical thinking, seeking truth over confirmation, and openness to complexity can help overcome limiting beliefs and the proliferation of misleading information. Progress happens when we reject defeatism in favor of possibility. The future remains unwritten. Be skeptical of initial news reports. Wait for the facts to emerge before believing claims about events, casualties, implications, attributions of blame, etc. News reported similarly across the ideological spectrum is more likely to be truthful. News reported by only left-leaning or right-leaning outlets is less likely to be truthful. Humans are irrational, especially about emotional topics. We make irrational decisions, then rationalize them. Recognizing our irrationality helps overcome mental limits and biases. Books like Influence, The Power of Habit, Thinking Fast and Slow, and Win Bigly explore human irrationality and persuasion. Practice facing potential embarrassment. Note how little others care and how you survive. This overcomes an ego that limits you through fear of embarrassment. Your embarrassments mean little to others. You can change thinking by changing behavior. Exercise, diet, sleep, travel, and social interaction expand your mindset. Improving health and activity boosts energy and willingness to take risks. Judge people based on how they respond to mistakes rather than the mistakes themselves. We all make mistakes, but how we respond says more. Look for accepting responsibility, expressing remorse, making amends, and avoiding repetition. This applies the golden rule and leads to a fairer, more productive view of others. Judging people based on their clarifications and recent actions rather than assumptions or past mistakes leads to more understanding and kindness. Following a process of clarifying, apologizing, and improving can help become better people. The 48-hour rule and 20-year rule suggest giving people chances to clarify or judging them based on recent actions. While imperfect, these aim to increase understanding and kindness. Change is gradual and usually improves. Conspiracy theories and cults rely on falsehoods and discourage critical thinking. To determine if you believe a conspiracy theory or are in a cult, look for 1. No credible experts agree. 2. Hallucinations or perceptions of things that aren't there. 3. Failure of predictions. 4. Discouraging outside opinions. 5. High confidence despite being wrong. To help others break from false beliefs, weaken overconfidence by showing flaws and inconsistencies in thinking. Ask clarifying questions to understand their views before critiquing them. With time and patience, you may open their minds. The passage discusses how certain rhetoric and logical fallacies are used to manipulate people into loserthink, irrational, and counterproductive thought patterns. Some key ideas and strategies are suggested to avoid loserthink. Focus on facts and systems thinking. Consider context and expertise. Challenge assumptions and misinterpretations. Learn from mistakes and failures. Consider alternative outcomes. Be wary of anecdotal evidence and coincidences. Judge individuals, not groups. Seek simple explanations. Manage information overload. Build skill stacks. Test and track results. Value privacy but don't overvalue it. Distinguish accuracy and truth. Consider cultural systems. Express confidence tied to competence. Take action through small steps. Learn persuasion and critical thinking. The summary outlines some of the major themes around rational thinking and decision-making. It emphasizes relying on evidence, experts, and facts, challenging biases and assumptions, learning from errors, considering context and alternative perspectives, building skills, tracking progress, valuing privacy appropriately, and taking gradual action with confidence and persuasion. The key is to avoid loserthink by engaging in these constructive thought patterns and strategies.